welcome to The One Show with Matt Baker.
And Alex Jones. Now, we know that parts of the UK, the weather, goodness me, it has been atrocious over the last 24 hours. And it's caused a lot of disruption, so we do hope that you're staying safe and that you're staying as dry as you possibly can out there.
Indeed. But never fear, because we've got an early winter warm of a show for you all tonight. Now, our guest has racked up some very impressive numbers.
There's the music. Yeah,
this went in. Matt.
This went in at number 1.
She's played it many times on her Radio 2 show.
And in fact, she's put all of her favourites on a new album that's got 3 CDs.
3 CDs. That's because at 4'11" and a half, she's a giant of musical theatre. It's Elaine Paye.
There we are. So good. Now, Elaine, to be honest, we had numbers all the way up to 2.2 million, because that is how many listeners you now get.
I know, it's fantastic,
Sunday
isn't it?
show.
Who would have thought it? I mean, what, 12 years ago, we started this show thinking that it would be some kind of little eclectic specialist programme for a few musical theatre lovers, because at the time, you know, well, 12 years ago, I suppose, there was, I think, a bit of a snobism, really, about musical theatre, don't you think? And people never would admit that they liked musical theatre, even if secretly they really did. They would never come out and say so. Things have changed, of course, in the last 12 years.
Maybe your show,
Well, I do. I mean, you know, I think maybe it did help, really. I mean, people, much to my surprise anyway, latched onto it, and as you've said, you know, the figures just keep going up and up, so it's fantastic.
Well, we've always been out in the open about our love of musical theatre, haven't we? And our audience tonight also very keen.
Big fans. Half of the 2.2 million in tonight.
Exactly.
The rest of what you know.
Now, as many people grow older, one way to maintain your independence whilst receiving the care you need is to move into a retirement property.
Yes, but some of these retirement schemes can have a financial sting in the tail, which can hit families at the worst possible time. Here's Joe.
With many baby boomers retiring with savings in the bank and final salary pensions, it's no wonder property companies have designs on them. Purpose-built retirement villages are becoming more common, with around 150,000 properties across the UK.
But some claim these new types of retirement property deals can leave families with an unwanted financial legacy.
Extra costs and restrictions in the lease can make retirement properties difficult to sell. And if you do sell, there may well be an additional hefty charge known as an event or exit fee. Sebastian O'Kelly runs a campaign group calling for the industry to be made fairer.
It's very good that older people live together communally. They can help each other, but unfortunately, they can in fact be the worst property investment you make in your life. I am contacted by people who are deeply unhappy with their circumstances, want to move, but can't, either because the value of their property has fallen so dramatically, or because there are such high exit fees, and a sale is simply uneconomic.
Penelope and John Garnham from Beverley in Yorkshire have first-hand experience of the complications that can crop up in this new property sector. In 2012, Penelope inherited her mother's £125,000 flat. She wanted to sell it, but found the lease with Methodist Housing Association, who own the retirement village, came with fees and restrictions, lots of them.
We couldn't let it and we couldn't move in. We couldn't do anything with it. We were upset to find the restrictions that had been imposed by MHA. It was just a whole ghastly business, and it went on and on and on.
Even though her mum had died, Penelope was billed for service fees totalling £10,000 over 18 months, including a care package.
I was so angry about having to pay a well-being package when there was nobody there to receive any well-being. She was dead. How could there be well-being?
With mounting fees and falling house prices, Penelope finally sold the flat back to Methodist Housing Association for £40,000 less than her mum had bought it for.
Obviously I was terribly upset because Mum had died, but to have all this going on as well, although Mum had been happy there, she would have been mortified if she'd known this would be the outcome.
And to add insult to injury, Penelope was then hit with another cost in the form of an exit fee.
The Housing Association would get 1% of the market value of the property for every year they'd had the flat, which totalled nearly £6,000. Methodist Housing insist their exit fees and restrictions are fair and were made completely clear to Penelope's 90-year-old mum at the time of purchase. CEO Adrian Bagg says the fees and wellbeing charges guarantee all residents have the round-the-clock care they expect when buying their homes.
It's a shared cost across the whole community, and that's why we keep the charge fixed, and therefore every unit in the scheme needs to keep making its contribution all the time, regardless of anyone living there or not.
Methodist Housing say they are committed to transparent fees. But other areas of this growing industry have come under scrutiny recently. Law Commissioner Stephen Lewis has found a lack of clarity over fees with some developers.
We've done a mystery shopping expedition, and some of it's been absolutely dire, where people haven't been told about event fees and have gone into it, by which time it's too late. So we're going to introduce a code backed up with legislation which requires developers to tell prospective purchasers at a very early stage all about the event fees, with worked examples which tell them how much they're going to have to pay, how the event fee is calculated and when it has to be paid.
But you're not just going to suggest best practice, there's going to be law put in place, that's the idea.
It's going to be, this code is going to have teeth, it's going to have a clear remedy, and basically if developers don't comply with the transparency obligations, then the event fee is not going to be recoverable.
The new rules should come into effect next February. Knowing you'll have care on hand when you need it is an expensive business, so checking the financial small print is vital.
Oh, always.
Well, that seems to be the clear message coming out of that film, Joe.
Absolutely. Now, many people buy a retirement property when there's a problem. You know, someone might have had a fall in the home, they need to downsize, and actually that's the worst time because they rush into it. And when you rush into these things, you make mistakes, and the mistakes come back to bite you. And part of those mistakes might be based on these retirement properties we're talking about being leasehold. Many people aren't used to leaseholds. They might have just sold their freehold house to pay for their retirement property. And leaseholds come with all sorts of restrictions. There's nothing wrong with it, but you just have to understand the restrictions. So, for example, you're going to have service charges you'll probably pay every 6 months. You won't be able to alter the property, at least not without permission. You might have to pay for that. You know, if you can't sell it, you might not be able to sublet the property while you're not there. So there are all sorts of things going on. And then, of course, you've got the exit fees that we mentioned in the film.
Right.
And on paper, it might just be a 1% exit fee. That sounds like it's not too much, right? But they've been criticised for being unfair because it's very difficult for people to actually imagine the amount that's going to end up being, because some of them aren't just 1%. They can be way more, but they could also be 1% every year you've been there.
Which was the case in the film.
Right.
Yeah.
So that can be a considerable amount of money. So you get to the point where you can't move, or you don't feel you can move, you feel trapped there. And, of course, the other thing to say is you're vulnerable. You're effectively a tenant when you have a leasehold property. If you don't pay your service charges, ultimately, you could lose the leasehold. So there's a lot of things to be wary of, and you just shouldn't rush into them. You've got to take time to read up the small print.
But, I mean, obviously, the whole point of going there is for the benefits, for the social side, the community, the security, everything that comes with that. So, I mean, is renting an option? How does it weigh up, then, in the grand scheme of things?
As I said, it's about taking time to read the details. So renting can be a brilliant solution, because instead of quickly going in and risking, you know, the money that you've got, why not rent? Why not try an area out? Why not try that type of living?
Without getting locked in.
Yeah, and if you don't like it, then you can move. But if you've bought a place and you've risked that lump sum you've got and you don't like it, you're paying the exit fees, you're paying everything else. So that's one way of testing the water.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Joe. You've got some experience, Elaine, haven't you, as well, with some relatives that have chosen to go to a retirement village?
A friend of my mother's went to a retirement, like a gated community in Surrey. She had a most marvellous time. I mean, no, because there was help at hand if anything went wrong within her one-bedroom flat. She had a little garden, wonderful views. Yeah. There was a wonderful social life. They always used to go off on jaunts to the theatre and the cinema, and there was a restaurant where they had meals prepared for them every day. And
wow, sign me up. Sounds great.
Well, exactly right. I thought I'd better put my name down now.
Well, actually, if any families out there do have experience, we'd love to hear. We'll put the address up for you on screen.
We will. Now, this is a bit of a random question.
Go on.
What do you think is quickest, a ferret up a trouser leg or a rat up a drain pipe?
Well, is it a metal or plastic drain pipe?
I don't have
Are we
the
talking
detail.
corduroy
Too
trousers?
slow. Alex.
Faster than the speed of light is more than 186,000 miles per second. Quick as a flash, lightning travels in excess of 61,000 miles per second. But what about some of our other quick phrases?
Many cliches evoke a sense of speed, so I've set myself a challenge to use science to measure which
speedy sayings are the Usain Bolts. Sports scientist Dr. Gabby Devereux from the University of Suffolk studies speed.
So how do you measure these tiny fractions of time?
We use very special cameras, including some infrared cameras, and we can record footage at 100 to 1,000 times faster than your typical television camera.
OK, first things first, the blink of an eye. This should be pretty fast and pretty easy because I've got an eye, Gavin's got a camera. Although it feels a bit Clockwork Orange, all this strapping and everything, it's not going to hurt, is it?
It'll be over in the blink of an eye. Ready? Blink, blink, and blink.
So what's the result, Gavin?
So your blink took 0.174 seconds, and the speed is 8.05 centimetres per second.
8.05 centimetres a second? That's not very fast. I never realised my eyelids were so sluggish. Let's see if we can beat that with one of our other speed cliches. And for this one, I'm going to need the help of Lucille, who's a rat.
Time to send a rat up a drain pipe. To give Lucille a bit of purchase, we've angled the pipe by 45 degrees.
Look at her go, look at her go. It's like a rat up a drain pipe. Oh, don't get distracted. No, come on. Oh, she's putting her spurt on. Come on! It's not going well, is it, Gabby? It's been a lovely day out for her, hasn't it?
It has. Average speed of 7 centimetres per second.
That's not as fast as the blink of an eye.
Now, for our next experiment, we need the help of the bravest member of our team, researcher Ed. Now, he's wearing a pair of thick cotton jeans to protect his nether regions and a pair of oversized over-trousers to allow a certain amount of scurrying room. And I think you're going to need this too. Now, it's a terrible job, but in the interests of science, Ed has got to do it. It's ferret up a trouser leg.
Our ferret Star is very happy to do this, and I'd like to assure you that no ferrets will be harmed in this experiment. I'm not sure about Ed, though.
Terry, can you please insert the ferret into the trouser leg? Oh, it's in, it's in, it's in. It's moving up quite far. Oh, it's in the middle, oh, it's in the middle. No, it's going down the other one.
Second attempt.
She's going up. Lightning, it's lightning fast, lightning fast. Where is she? Well, she's there. 8.16 centimetres per second.
She went up that trouser leg at the drop of a hat.
Now, I don't need a researcher for this experiment. I can do it all on my own. Told you. Now, Gavin, that must be the fastest yet.
It's telling us the hat was travelling at 360 centimetres per second.
That's so fast!
So we're getting speedier. But for one last stupendous supersonic test, we're going to the dogs.
For our final experiment, we've come down to the dog track to see if we can beat the speed of gravity, like greyhounds out of the traps.
We're measuring the greyhounds across a distance of 3 metres, starting from the moment they come out of their traps.
Wow, that was quick! So tell me, just how fast is a greyhound out of the traps?
1,489 centimetres per second.
So it seems we've a definitive winner in our league table of fast phrases. Our speediest cliche is like a greyhound out of the traps.
At the flick of a switch, speedy cliches have spread through the English language like wildfire. And they're here to stay. They're not just a flash in the pan. Hang on a minute. That's 3 more experiments I could be doing. Anybody got a frying pan? Brilliant. Now, where's Gavin? 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 Gavin?
Who?
It's carpet and a drain pipe.
I've no idea.
I mean, forget the retirement village. Email us if you do.
And it's up a drain pipe, not kind of, you know, at a 45-degree angle.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, but that man was brave to have the ferret up his trousers.
It's great.
Anyway.
Indeed.
Last week, while you were out on the rickshaw,
Go on.
Sting came in, right?
Oh, yes,
and,
go on.
He brought in his new album, right? And there were only 10 tracks on it. And I thought, well, that's a bit tight.
Did you?
Yeah. Yours, 3 CDs, 58 songs from the shows. We love it.
I know. Well, there you are. You see.
Value for money, Elaine.
Value for money. That's me.
Absolutely.
Do you know what? We're going to trigger some memories. We're going to trigger some memories now.
No.
So we'll put the music on appropriately.
Lovely.
And Elaine, there is a really interesting story, isn't there, about how it all kind of happened for you with regards to the radio and going home with this particular song.
Yeah, well, I was driving my car. I was coming home from a dinner party, and I heard this tune on the radio, and the DJ said, "Oh, I'll play the entire theme of Andrew Lloyd Webber's new song from his new musical after the midnight news."
Lovely.
And there was no lyric to it, and so I just loved the tune. Immediately got to the house, went to go into the house. I thought I'd tape it, you know, tape it on.
So that was the first time you were going to hear it?
First time I ever heard it.
Right.
And I was nothing to do with Cats at the time, and suddenly I'm fumbling in my, you know, to get the keys for the front door, and this bedraggled, black, mangy-looking old cat appeared, and I'd lived in this house for about 2 years. I'd never seen it before, and it turned up, and it was kind of like, and I'm trying to get it across my legs, because my mother always said, if a black cat crosses your path,
yes,
it's
good luck.
So I'm ushering this thing on, run into the house, taped the tune, and left the door open, and when I looked, the old mangy old cat had followed me in. And it was so pathetic. So I gave it a saucer of milk, taped the song, and said to myself, tomorrow I'm going to ring Andrew Lloyd Webber and say to him, I have to record this song, because it did something to me.
Yeah.
You know, emotionally, it touched me.
Sure.
And I didn't have to do that, because I was woken in the morning, the telephone rang. I mean, it's spooky, this story. The telephone rang, and it was Andrew offering me the part of Grisabella in Cats. Isn't that weird?
It is really weird.
And this old cat stayed with me for the rest of its life.
Oh.
I know. It sounds like I've just made it up, doesn't it? I tell you.
There's a musical in that.
Honestly, it's a true story, and I think it's a bit spooky.
Yeah, what did you call the cat?
What do you think?
Grisabella. Yeah. But, you know, so there's classics on there that you've sung, and lots of your friends have sung.
Yes.
But you also tap in to the thing we were talking about. Not everybody will admit to liking musicals, and some people are quite new to musicals. So you've got some contemporary ones on there as well, like Ghosts, and ones that have come off the back of films,
exactly. It's quite a mix of material, from old standard musicals right the way through the gamut, really. Because, I mean, there's a wealth of material, as you can imagine, out there. I mean, there were like... We could have 6 albums, actually, 6 CDs.
Well, no, save some for next Christmas.
Well, that's what we thought, but I thought it'd be a nice Christmas. I mean, it came out of the radio show, really, because I'm inundated every week with people requesting, you know, their favourite songs from their favourite musical.
Yeah.
And being on tour myself and everything, I thought, well, I've got some favourites as well. I'll mix and match. I'll make my own list, and then everybody else's list, and we've compiled them, and we've managed to whittle it down to, I mean, it's a lot, 3 CDs, but listen, you know, it's like having my radio show in your own home or wherever you want all the time. I mean, there's no escape.
It's ideal.
Well, you just mentioned there that you are still on stage and you're still singing. So of the more modern musicals, which ones do you really enjoy yourself, or which ones you enjoy performing?
Well, I don't perform too many modern musicals in my own concert, but if I go in, I mean, I saw Wicked. I loved Wicked, and that's one that I'm requested to play, Defying Gravity, practically every week. Last week I went to see Half a Sixpence, which was absolutely wonderful.
That's your hot tip.
That's hot tip of the moment. Go and see that. And
would you ever go back?
The young man, Charlie Kemp, A Star Is Born. You've got to go and see him.
Yeah.
Sorry, what?
Would you ever go back as
into
a role?
Musical theatre?
Yeah, onto the West.
Well, it would have to be something, I don't know, never say never, I suppose.
No.
But,
come on, Elaine.
8 shows a week. Oh, I don't know.
I know, it's
you
special
know,
appearance.
You need to be young like these lovely young things.
We'd love to see Elaine back, though, wouldn't we, on the West End? We'd love it.
Well, we'll be talking more about Elaine's amazing career in a bit, but her album, Elaine Page Presents the Musicals, is out this Friday.
Yes, now, lots of you will remember Rosie King, who, over the years, has been giving us an insight into life with Asperger's. Well, a few weeks ago, we followed her first days starting at university.
Now, you may have thought that the story ends there, but then up steps a Hollywood A-lister with a promise to keep.
Well, we like to do quite a bit of research when we get our guests here on The One Show, and we love it when we uncover something that's quite fascinating. And, Tom, we know that you love typewriters.
You can change the world with one of those things. I'm going to send one to Rosie, as a matter of fact, so she can...
Oh, isn't that so...
He sent me one, and it's so sweet. It's so strange how nice some people can be. Dear Rosie King, it seems like it was a month ago since you and I were on The One Show. I think you're correct. Writing on a typewriter is, I think, the same process as writing with a pen. Never mind the corrections or spell checking. Just get into the groove and go with the creative process.
You might as well ask a bit about creative writing. I mean, is there anything you want to ask this lot?
How?
You're doing it. You write. You know, it's just like anything. You just start practicing it, and it builds, and write it again, rewrite it.
They were all so nice. I think they could tell that I was really nervous, and they would be absolutely lovely to me.
Well, the first sentence is just the beginning. That's all it is.
The mechanics of typing may take a while to get used to, but the result is right there on paper, and with some adjusting of the spacing, you can make room to edit all you want with the pencil, but he added that. I hope your days at university are happy ones for you, and that we meet again. It doesn't have to be on TV. All good things, Tom Hanks. That's so sweet. It's so beautiful. I love the colour, I love the way it types. I said thank you just for taking time out of his day to send me this. Thanks for being so kind to me. My dream comes true and I become a writer. Hopefully I'll write some books on this.
Yeah. That is amazing. Can you imagine getting a typewriter from Tom Hanks and it's pale blue?
I mean, you know, it's just extraordinary. We're going to actually send that little film to Tom Hanks so that he can see how much she appreciates it. It was wonderful. Now, Elaine, as a kind of a decorated stage actor, we know that you will be familiar with the term tableau.
Oh, la. Well, it's when actors suddenly freeze in character on stage. And this reminded us of the current internet sensation, the mannequin challenge, you know? Yes. And people are doing it everywhere. They're doing it down the pubs, in schools, in weddings. Pets are doing it all. Everybody.
So this gave us an idea for a game.
Well, it did.
Didn't it? So, well, we've been doing some mannequin challenges in the office today. OK. Now, basically, well, all of our team have been representing moments of your career. Key moments, bizarre moments in your career. So, so basically, they've been acting them out. They've done this tableau, this mannequin challenge.
Yeah. Right.
And you've got to then tell us what's been happening at that stage of your life.
OK. So this is the first one. Now, the music is a clue to which musical. So, here we have Aquarius.
Oh, well, that's hair.
Oh, hang on a minute. Yes, hair. Oh, and people are pointing. People are looking in amazement. Oh, and somebody's been... You're covering somebody up there.
I know what that is.
Go on.
Well, when I was in hair, way back when, I was probably one of the last of the cast to get my kit off, so to speak, to get naked. I was a bit of a wimp, and my friend Gary Hamilton, he was tall, dark and handsome, and he said, I'll stand next to you and hold your hand for a bit of moral support. And, of course, when the dreaded moment came, it was such a terrible shock to be standing there naked in front of thousands of people.
Is it fully naked?
Yeah, yeah.
Fully naked?
Fully naked, like nothing. Yeah. And I put my hand out like that to hold his hand. But
you minx, Elaine!
There we are.
OK, let's do just one more then before we go. Here we go.
Oh, there you are.
So there you are.
You're in the stairwell here, but people can't see you very well. What's happening?
So it's Sunset
Boulevard. I know what that was. It's Sunset Boulevard. I got to Broadway with Sunset Boulevard, and it was the last rehearsal before my opening there, and I was coming down the staircase. That was the entrance that that Norma Desmond made this grand entrance. And the stairs and the banister were such that you couldn't see me.
Oh,
because
no.
the stairs were, you know, everybody else that had played the role prior to me was average height.
taller.
And being, as you said, I'm only 4'11"
and a half.
And a half.
And a half.
So as I was coming down the stairs, it was like, you know, up, down, up, down. You couldn't see me. So they had to build the stairs up. And the last step, they didn't tell me, the last step was like really deep because they couldn't get the extra step in.
And that's all we've got time for in the Mannequin Challenge game.
It
That was
is.
lovely, thank you. Now then, moving on slightly, you can applaud if you want to, it's entirely up to you. Now, this morning was the first day that we had that serious conversation about Christmas presents. Who wants what?
I haven't put my order in yet.
Didn't come to much, but there we are.
Well, it seems our wildlife cameraman, Richard Taylor-Jones, is using the 12 Days of Christmas as his inspiration.
The thing is, he's having a bit of trouble finding the two turtle doves.
The soft purring of the turtle dove used to be one of the most evocative sounds of the British summer.
But today your chances of seeing or hearing one of these beautiful birds is unfortunately remote.
In the UK, their numbers have decreased by 93% over the last 20 years. But all is not yet lost. John Mallord is an RSPB scientist working with Operation Turtle Dove, a conservation partnership dedicated to saving this bird.
Do we understand why this is happening?
Within the UK, there is strong evidence that they've been negatively affected by agricultural intensification over the last few decades, whereby the abundance of their favourite food plants has just diminished. But of course, being long-distance migrants, they face threats as they migrate. It's well known that as they pass through France and Spain, they're legally hunted.
Even at the end point of the dove's migration, their wintering grounds in West Africa, they're under pressure. Here, the problems are habitat loss and drought. With threats to the birds wherever they go, it's crucial for conservationists to pinpoint exactly what regions are important for them. To that end, in 2014, a satellite tag was put on a turtle dove christened Titan and used to track the exact route he took on his 3-month journey from Suffolk to Mali and then back again.
Titan's tag has since stopped working, but the information it's given us is absolutely fascinating. If you look at this map here, you can see the 11,000-kilometre round trip he's taken, along with, crucially, where he stopped off along the way.
This information will help Operation Turtle Dove focus conservation efforts, but more information is needed. So this year they've tagged 10 more birds, and we want to track them down before they set off on their migration.
The data you're getting back, is it telling you that there are any particular hot spots that we should be looking for?
There are a congregation of points not far from where we are at the moment.
The signals have led us to one of a number of farms in the south and east, which have received grants to improve habitat for these birds. Careful management of the field edges has allowed annual weeds such as fumitory to grow, replenishing the natural food source. Some farmers have also been putting out supplementary food. Here at Glebe Farm in Norfolk, they've gone from no birds at all to over 25 in just 4 years, using a special seed mix. Our best bet is to stake out their feeding spot. There are plenty of pink-chested bullfinches, a yellowhammer, and finally, a turtle dove.
Now that, John, is a very beautiful bird.
Absolutely stunning.
And that lovely pattern on its wings, but you know, that tortoiseshell pattern, that's not why they're called turtle doves, is it?
No, it's actually the purring sound. Sounds a bit like a turr. It seems to get its name from that.
There we go. That's living proof that Operation Turtle Dove is working here. They're tagging, they're monitoring the efforts that the farmers are making. Well, it's all contributing to help try and save this beautiful bird from the edge of extinction here in the UK.
And so you will never sing that carol in the same way again. Anyway, big thanks to our guest tonight, Elaine Page. New compilation album, Elaine Page Presents the Musicals, is out on Friday.
Yeah, we'll come and see Theatre Royal Drury Lane on the 18th.
Yeah.
We'll see you tomorrow, look, with these three.
Good night. Thank you all.